Welcome to the May Virtual Visitor Industry Council meeting. We do have some guests and first-time attendees with us today, so I always like to kick off the meeting by reminding you that the Visitor Industry Council is a member-run organization and a benefit of your membership with Visit Rochester. This year, your VIC chairperson is Julie Izzo Nideswick, and she and the steering committee put together these meetings and other events throughout the course of the year. So we have a full agenda, and I hope everyone sticks around to the end where we will have Kevin Dugan and our representatives from the New York State and Rochester Restaurant Association for an update during networking on the state of the restaurant industry in Rochester and across the state. But without further ado, take it away, Julie.
Welcome everyone on this gorgeous, gorgeous spring day. I just said our springs are glorious here, and that is not an understatement. When spring hits Rochester, it's amazing. Quick schedule rundown for today. We're going to start with the Seeds of Growth segment, followed by our main presentation from the Corning Museum of Glass with a live presentation from glass artists. So we're super excited about that. Then we'll have news from our committees, steering committee update, staff updates from Visit Rochester, Purple Bag Trivia with Jessica Conley, your vice chair. And then happy hour is not going to just be like, what we're chatting about. It's going to be topic specific about the changing rules, landscape, everything that's going on with the Restaurant Association. So Greg just sort of hit on that. So if you serve food or drink on your farm, in your organization, your business, make sure you stay for that. So unless Greg has anything else, I am going to move on. Are we good to go, Greg?
Yeah, I would say whether you serve food and drink or if you go out for food and drinks, it will be of interest to you. So I would definitely stay tuned till the end. But thank you. We're excited for the day.
100%. So farming in general, as I know, and then adding agritainment operations to your farm is not for the faint of heart, especially in the past year. But there is a genuine love for both those who farm and who want to farm, and it's always evident when you're at a farm. And no other really personifies that love than our first guest for the Seeds of Growth segment, which is my theme this year. And the aim is to highlight businesses and organizations in the Rochester area that started out as just like a small idea and then grew into something so much more and an important piece of our community. Wickham Farms of Penfield is just one example of this, and Debbie Wickham is on the line with us today for this segment. And I had to laugh because when I called her earlier, she was in the field, and I laughed because the only reason I'm not in the field today is because I get to do this today. So the only reason I got out of like picking cones and being in the field today. So thanks for doing this, Debbie. I really appreciate it. Everyone on a farm has to wear many hats, and that's no different with your farm either. So can you just give me a quick rundown of like what you specifically do on your farm?
Thank you. First of all, Julie, thank you for inviting us and giving us this opportunity to share what we're doing at Wickham Farms. So my role has evolved over the years. This year, my role is becoming, I want to say, smaller or maybe closer to my passion, which is all about flower farming. Since joining the farm full-time 3 years ago, I've also had the opportunity to be joined full-time by our son, our youngest, Dale Wickham, and also our daughter, Paige Wickham, just joined the farm this year as our new food and beverage manager. So with that, they sit me down each year and say, Mom, what are the things that you like to do and what are the things you want to do less of? So I am truly now enjoying more of what I love, which is growing things. I'm responsible for our CSA planning, our CSA harvesting and managing that crew. I love that. That's a passion of mine. And then the second big effort that I'm responsible for are the planning of all of our flower related events, and they're numerous. We started 5 years ago with, this is our 6th year, with sunflowers. We have lavender, and this year we are planning, and that's what I was doing when you called, we're planning a new cutting flower garden. It's a little over an acre, and we're gonna have a flower bar for people to enjoy in our fields. So those are the things I do. I get to get my hands dirty.
Oh, that sounds like so much fun. I can't wait to see that. So let's start out with some of the Seeds of Growth portion of this. your family, your husband has had a passion for farming for decades. Is it true that your husband began his farming to the public expedition by selling pumpkins on the roadside at the age of 8?
That is absolutely true. So if anybody is familiar with Route 5 and 20 between Geneva and Canandaigua, there are these red roadside wagons where people sell corn, etc., farm fresh sweet corn, cabbage. Those were the beginnings of what my husband was doing many years ago. He grew up in Stanley. His brother now owns and operates those stands, but he started by he grew up in a crop farm, row crop farm, and he started with pumpkins, and there it goes. Back in 1986, when we got married, we rented some ground, actually ground we currently own now, near the YMCA, and we planted our first pumpkin field up in Monroe County. And at one time, we had 6 different pumpkin fields in the greater Rochester area, all rented ground. We were both working full time, and we were moving tractors all over the place. So yes, his love of pumpkins grows very deep. So we continue with pumpkins, but that's now a small piece of what we did.
So as the agritainment craze grew in the late 90s and the early 2000s, so did Wickham Farms' public offerings. You began offering maize activities. At what point did the public side of Wickham Farms become the full-time focus?
That's a tricky question, because I don't know if anybody knows, but up until 3 years ago, I was working full-time for Xerox and working on the farm part-time, and my husband still was working. He still does, although it's much smaller. He's a consultant for nonprofit fundraisers. So he has been doing that. And I would say, honestly, back in 2017, when I retired, that's about when he stopped really working hard at the consulting business, and we started to farm and do Wickham Farms full time. It's never been a full-time gig in that we're not open year round. But while raising our kids, it started, as our kids started to get older, it became more and more time, because then the kids would work on the farm with us. So I would say just up until recently, it's been a full-time gig. Otherwise, it's a labor of love. People would look at us and say, oh, it's a gold mine. Yeah, tell me about that. 3 kids in college and working full-time at Xerox, and 32 years later, I'm still working.
That actually blows my mind, because I can't imagine having a full-time job and doing what you guys do. So that is a testament to your family's hard work, for sure. So Wickham Farms used to be on a spot right next to the YMCA in Penfield, like you said, which you had quite a bit of infrastructure there with barns and batting cages and stuff like that right next to that. Then a few years ago, you moved just down around the corner, which is, to me, that would be scary, brave, and really, how has that shaped the direction of your farm?
That's a great question, and I think it became a pivotal opportunity in our farm, and by that I mean it offered us. We basically grew out of the space on Route 250, and with everybody having one of these, it wasn't important to just drive by Wickham Farms. You could just Google and find Wickham Farms. And we had demonstrated that was the case, because most of our land was located across Route 250 on Sweets Corners Road. And that's where we established our apple orchard, because that's where our land was. Basically anything that came for sale close to the farm, we would buy. And then we also started our sunflower field there. So having the opportunity to consolidate into one location is an amazing thing. And we were very fortunate. And what it's allowed us to do is to really spread out, really focus on integrating, the core farming activities along with some of the more traditional agritainment all in one place. So I feel like we're one of the few places in Rochester where you can go and pick a pumpkin, play all day, eat a meal, go see lavender, go get some sunflowers. The only thing we don't have, and I'll tell you, Julie, I'll never grow a Christmas tree. At least I won't, because the season's long enough. I don't know how you guys do it.
I say that about people who have haunts, and I'm like, how do they do that? And they're like, we don't have Christmas trees. I'm like, you're
There
right.
you go. So yeah, so it was a great thing for us, a great opportunity to co-locate.
So now you have about 6 months worth of public offerings. Would you say that's correct? Starting with your CSA, then lavenders. You started strawberries last year, true?
We did. We started strawberries as kind of a COVID stopgap, because if you remember when you know, over a year ago, we didn't know if we were going to be open or not. We were phase 4. But food and food production was essential. So we grew a day neutral strawberries, which is a one and done type year strawberry. And that was fun. But this year we're going to focus more on flowers, a little longer lasting. And we're going to use that space a little differently. But yeah, it seems like our season is getting shorter and shorter, which is fine by me. I think we're going to be open. Now, I know we are going to be open starting August 24th with our lavender event. And then from lavender, we move into sunflowers. Throughout the summer, we'll have flowers, just cutting bar. And then we go into apples and pumpkins. So, you know, we kind of have stretched the season from just being focused on fall and being so weather dependent on just a few weekends out of the year to a much longer season and taking advantage of the beautiful weather in Rochester. And with that, the other piece of it was we de-risked our whole operation by offering a CSA. So we grow vegetables and offer a vegetable program that goes 17 weeks, about the 3rd week of June until the middle of October. So it all kind of works together.
So I just want to double check. You said August 24th, but did you mean June 24th?
I meant June 24th.
Okay,
Thank you very much. I'm thinking it should be August 24th. We have so much to do. June 24th.
June 24th, so people know.
At the time the kids are out of school, we open up.
You open. All businesses must evolve, and it's often the younger generation that brings new energy and ideas that help that process along. Your son Dale, and now you say your daughter is back on the farm full time. How has their presence changed the future vision of the farm, if at all?
I'm laughing. I'm laughing because I can't keep up. meaning the younger generation, I mean, it's great. They have so much energy, so many new ideas. They are our future consumers. And they are just, you know, endless and boundless things. We just moved here. We're remodeling every year for like, it's the 3rd time we're redoing things. We keep learning and then we keep tweaking. So if there's a year where we're not planting grass because we've dug something up, I guess, you know, we should just roll over and go to sleep, I suppose. But a lot of energy they're bringing. It also, honestly, you know, the intent is as they grow and they're great kids and great leaders, as they grow, it's easier to give them the opportunities to lead and for me to take a step back and watch them lead and really me following some of my passions so that I'm not doing some of the things that, you know, I've done that, been there, done that. So I'm doing more of the fun things. So it's a great thing. But honestly, it is hard to keep up. As I get older, I don't know. I keep looking at that rocking chair thinking, when am I going to be rocking in that chair? I don't know.
I was asked the other day what my biggest concern for the coming season was. And the first thing that came to mind was labor. It's tight now. I think it's going to get tighter. What's keeping you up at night right now, if anything? Right
now, and this is it's pretty more near term than anything. Right now, what's keeping me up at night is related to labor, and that is finishing all the projects that we started. There's going to be a lot of new at the farm. We're making our big barn into an exit barn and really amping up our offerings for a gift shop. We're really turning the corner on some top-notch food offerings with a fresh grill, a smoker, and all those projects, none of them are complete. So, and what that has to do with is shortages in labor, materials, and turnaround time to get things done. So what keeps me up at night until the 24th of June is trying to pull all this together. We have a new CSA barn with no electricity and no water yet, you know, and we're planting away. So those are the things that are keeping me up late at night. I am worried, and I know others in food service are worried about rising food costs and, you know, trying to, you know, develop offerings that, you know, I'm thinking about these menus, and we keep getting price quotes in from all these food service, you know, suppliers, and every week they're going up. So I'm really nervous about how we're going to maintain our margins and open along with the minimum wage hikes that we're all experiencing. So I'm concerned.
Yes, that's a great point that, you know, we said before the restaurants are going to be focused at later in the meeting, but that's an excellent point that, you know, we made a joke in the field the other day that someone had 2 things of plywood, and I'm like, wow, they're rich, you know, I mean.
Exactly. And it for some people, it's easier to stay home and collect unemployment than it is to get a part-time job. And staffing, and I'm not alone, staffing for these jobs. We're very fortunate in that we live in an area, we have some great young people in our area. I worry when they go back to school, what's going to happen to us, but you know, time will tell.
And
So
it always manages to work out. It does always manage to work out, even if we're there just a little bit longer. Your family's wonderful, and they work so hard, and you really built such a beautiful spot there over on Sweets Corner, and I congratulate you on that.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity to share today.
And Rachel, if you can put Wickham's Farms website right in the chat. Debbie's got to hop off to go to an interview. Hopefully it's a good one.
I'm interviewing flower farmers. It is a hot job, let me tell you. Everybody wants to be a flower farmer.
Thank you, Debbie. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
Okay, so moving on. That was, once again, thanks to Wickham Farms. That was very nice of them to hop on. They're incredibly busy. They open rather shortly, and I can't imagine what her list looks like. So, but I'm gonna move right on to our next presentation. We're gonna get blown away with the Corning Museum of Glass, and I'm so excited for this because Eric Meeks is here with the Corning Museum of Glass. Like I said, I was inspired to make this presentation happen after binge watching 2 seasons of the Netflix program Blown Away, where extremely talented and hardworking glass artists compete for a chance at a residency at the museum. And if you've ever been to the Corning Museum of Glass, you know how wonderful and what a true destination gem of New York this is. The museum has it all, from exploring glass making that's over 3,500 years old to the latest in science and technology. Your whole family will be amazed at this all-day experience. They have demos for glass making, they have flame working demonstrations all day, and there's even opportunities for you to make your own blown glass. So if you haven't been, I'm sure that this presentation will inspire a trip down to the Southern Tier with your family and friends soon. So now I'd like to introduce Eric Meeks. Eric, are you on the line with us from the Corning Museum of Glass?
I sure am. Hey, Julie, thanks for the invite to talk today.
Thank you. And Rachel, I think you're going to make him blown onto the whole screen, correct?
Yes.
And it's probably disappointing because all we do is exist by Zoom and PowerPoint, but I just have a PowerPoint presentation today. We weren't able to arrange a live stream demo, but we do offer live stream demos every week. And so you're certainly welcome to tune in. And of course, you're welcome to come on down to Corning. What I am going to share with you today is a presentation that I really do hope you'll enjoy. Let me just get my screen situated here and make sure that I can share what I want to share. Okay. Oh, let's see. Are you guys looking at my notes or my?
See a photo.
All right. Okay, great. Excellent. Okay. So again, my name is Eric Meek. I started out at the Corning Museum of Glass in 2001 as a glass blower, but I currently have the title of Senior Manager of Hot Glass Programs and Marcom Operations. My role is expanded at the museum here, and I oversee the demonstrations that we do here on site and the outreach that we do. We have a mobile studio that we take all over the country. A few years ago, some of you may have seen glass barge come through the Erie Canal and the vicinity of Rochester there. So those are all the things that I deal with here at the museum. And like I said, I'm sorry I don't have a demonstration to offer today, but you know, if you've been able to visit Corning recently, if you have, even if you haven't, I think you'll find the topic of today's talk interesting. I want to talk to you from the perspective of someone who loves glass and has made a career out of glass making, and share what makes Corning Corning. And I think that's a question that we don't always effectively answer when people come here. It's like, what am I doing here in the middle of New York State? Why is Corning the glass town that it is? And I want to dive into that a little bit today in the talk, and then share some of the fun things that are coming up at the museum this summer. So like a lot of communities in upstate New York, Corning went from an agrarian community to an industrial one in the 19th century. I think it's a very interesting confluence of factors that brought glass to Corning, but the result is, of course, an impact that is still felt today. The Brooklyn Flint Glass Company was in operation in New York City, basically at the foot of the Brooklyn Bridge. So this is the company that became the Corning Glass Works. So in Brooklyn, they were facing, you know, it sounds familiar to today, they were facing a lot of troubles. They were facing high operating costs, raw material transport, wages, trade unions were forming in Brooklyn, and there was new ownership of the factory. So in 1868, because of a bunch of factors, but here in Corning, as you can see on the map here, the red dot is Corning, New York. There was a landowner who owned a rich landowner who had a lot of property around Corning, and he invested in the Brooklyn Flint Glass Works and encouraged them to move into Corning. And really what made this possible was the Erie Canal Way. So this was 1868, so it's basically 150 years ago. The Erie Canal was the superhighway of the day. And the Chemung Canal, which was the final stretch of the Erie Canal down to Corning, was the southernmost terminal of the Erie Canal and one of the busiest ports in New York State. And the reason it was busy is because the area that we're in here, down at the base of the Finger Lakes, of course, there was a lot of timber, and we were also the northern terminal for the coal fields of Pennsylvania. So a lot of fuel was funneled into Corning and into the Chemung Canal and up into the Erie Canal Way. So in Brooklyn, where they had this factory, they noticed that they were importing a lot of coal from this little town called Corning. And in an effort to save money, in an effort to get away from trade unions, they relocated to Corning, New York in 1868. So construction began on a factory here. It forever transformed the town. This resulted in the south bank of the Chemung River eventually being dubbed Smokestack University, had 10 large smokestacks lining the river, breathing life to coal furnaces below. And this trademark factory stood in Corning until it was demolished in 1982, and this made way for the location of the current headquarters building. So along with that glassmaking factory, the factory was really turning out popular products of the day, which was glass crystal to decorate your home. The factory made blanks, so they made undecorated, thick-walled vessels, and then those were transformed in small glass cutting shops into brilliant cut glass, which is very popular of the day. So here's a building which still stands on Market Street. It's the Hawks Crystal Shop. The showroom was below, and the workshop was above. This Hawks Crystal glass sign has been recently restored. It looks beautiful, and housed below still today is a local glass artist shop called Vitrix Glass, which you can visit on Market Street. So the factory produced the blanks, and then cutting shops like this turned them into brilliant cut objects like you see in the frame here on the right. Now, at the time, there was really stiff competition in this area. So a lot of people were making this kind of glass, and Corning was really losing out. They weren't winning. There were a lot of reasons for this. There was a lot of competition, but also there were just the market itself was sort of declining. Fortunately, the owners of Corning Glass Works were pretty talented with glass chemistry. So there was a guy named Amory Houghton Jr. and his brother Charles. who were good with glass chemistry and good with machinery, and Corning really decided to fully commit to the pursuit of new and innovative uses of glass, and this happened in the very early 20th century. But the two objects that you see in the screen here really changed the course of history for Corning. They could have been a company that just focused on decorative objects and quickly went out of business, but they shifted and they made these things for industry. So these were the first commercial hit for Corning. It was a standardized red colored signal lamp for railroads, and it was made out of a glass formula called Pyrex. And that Pyrex formula withstood the conditions of being outside in the winter. So it could be cold on the outside and have a warm flame on the inside, and the glass wouldn't crack. It was very durable. So this was a huge commercial hit for Corning, much bigger than the decorative ware ever could have been. And it really changed the fortune of the company. So you've all heard of Pyrex. I wanted to share this little side story about Pyrex. And this is an object that you can see in the museum. This is a photo taken right out of the museum if you come here today. But what you see on the left here is what's called a battery jar. This was made out of the Pyrex glass formula, that temperature resistant glass, a very durable glass. There was a research scientist who worked at Corning, a guy named Jesse Littleton, and he was home talking to his wife about the properties of this glass at the dinner table, probably boring his family to tears. But then his wife said, well, I wonder if you could bake a cake in that. And so they actually took one of these battery jars and sawed the bottom off. And what you see on the right is what we think is probably the first piece of Pyrex that anyone ever baked in. So they actually baked a cake in this in their home oven. And today, I'm sure all of you have a piece of Pyrex in your home, and it was really this happenstance that happened in a home here in Corning that influenced another very successful venture for Corning. And, you know, of course, now everybody has heard of or uses Pyrex in their own home. This Pyrex glass played a big role in another object that put Corning on the map. This is a telescope mirror blank that was made in Corning. It's 200 inches in diameter and weighs 20 tons. And this was made in Corning and transported to out to California. And this happened in the 1920s, and that really put Corning on the map. There was this big story of the day and this big event where this piece of glass traveled across the country and made Corning a household name. You know, working for the Corning Museum of Glass, I've traveled all over the place. Wherever you go, the name of Corning is known, and it's because of a lot of these things that happened early in the company's history. Innovation continues to happen. Here you can see more of the different housewares that have made Corning a household name. Corning invented the process for making light bulbs automatically. The first light bulb envelope, they call it the glass casing and envelope, was made here for Thomas Edison when he was developing incandescent light. And then the machine that you see in this slide is called a glass ribbon machine. It was invented by a Corning engineer, and it was so very successful that in the peak production of incandescent light bulbs, there were only 15 of these machines working around the world to supply the world with light bulbs. So it's an astoundingly efficient machine that produces light bulbs incredibly fast. The process for making cathode ray tubes was perfected here in Corning. So without processes and engineering that happened right here, we wouldn't have television like we know it today. Optical fiber was another development that happened in Corning. Without optical fiber, we don't have Zoom calls, which, you know, many of you might think is a blessing today after a year of only existing on Zoom, but really optical fiber carries so much information. If we were still relying on copper networks, the sharing of information like we have today wouldn't be possible. Optical fiber was developed, low loss optical fiber was developed in Corning 50 years ago. A team of 3 scientists made the breakthrough 50 years ago last summer. Innovations, again, continue to happen. In 2007, there was this little computer company out in California, out in Cupertino, that came to Corning and said, hey, we want to change the way that people interface with data on handheld devices. And Apple worked with Corning research scientists to develop the display glass for mobile devices. And this, of course, has been a huge hit for Corning. Still, the vast majority of glass on displays and computers and televisions is produced by Corning at factories around the world. Today, you know, a year ago, this wouldn't have been a slide that I shared with you, but today it certainly is. Corning is also the producer of the glass vials that contain the Pfizer vaccine. So Pfizer vaccine is delivered in strengthened glass vials. It's called Valor Glass. It's a product that Corning developed about 5 years back. But Corning is very proud of the role that they're playing in the distribution of the Pfizer vaccine around the world. Here's a picture of the Corning Incorporated headquarters today. Still visible on the far left of this slide is the draw tower. So that white tower, which is kind of a trademark of Corning, was part of the industrial complex on the Chemung River. That part wasn't torn down. We call it the draw tower though, because thermometer tubing was hand drawn. So you would take a 2000 degree gob of glass and draw it up that tower to form thermometers that were used in industry and in medicine for many years. So if you are old enough to remember having a glass thermometer under your tongue like I do, there's a good chance that it was actually made in that tower right here in Corning. So this is not a presentation about Corning Incorporated, but you know, as someone who works at the Corning Museum of Glass, I think it's really important to contextualize why Corning is a glass town, why Corning is known as well as it is for being, you know, a small community of about 15,000 people, you know, to be known worldwide. It's really based on the contribution that Corning Glassworks, which became Corning Incorporated, has made over the years. Corning Incorporated wanted to thank, they really wanted to thank the world for their success. So in 1951, it was actually the 100th anniversary of the company. They opened the Corning Museum of Glass, and this treasure trove of objects. Many of the glass objects were collected by the Houghton family over the years, and they were put on display for everyone to enjoy. So this is a postcard from 1951, which shows the original museum building, along with the Steuben factory, which is the more industrial building that you see kind of in the background there, where Steuben crystal glass was made for many years. Here's another shot of the original museum. Believe it or not, in the 50s and 60s, we had between 500,000 and 600,000 visitors a year. Today, visitation at the museum in 2019, it was around 450,000. So surprisingly, there was a lot of visitation in the 50s and 60s because a lot of people, you know, came through Corning in their car, maybe on the way to Niagara Falls or on their way to New York City. But I remember when I first started coming to Corning from Ohio, my grandparents said, "Oh yeah, we took a trip out there with your mother years ago." The museum has continued to expand over the year. Here's an addition that was added on and completed in the early 1980s. This was after the effects of a catastrophic flood, which happened in Corning in 1972. So they had to rebuild, then they reconfigured the museum to keep the collection a little safer. And then finally, we've most recently expanded in 2015, and this white building is our contemporary art and design wing. The stunning building in itself is worth seeing. If you haven't been here in the last few years, it's a dramatic and beautiful architectural statement. It was designed by a group in New York City, Tom Pfeiffer Architects. And we're so proud of it. I mean, it makes the Corning Museum of Glass. We've always been a museum that would stand shoulder to shoulder with any institution in the world, but this new space to exhibit our most contemporary glass is just absolutely stunning if you haven't seen it. Of course, I'd like to visit all of you to come and visit the museum. We've actually been, probably like a lot of you, we've been fortunate enough to be open since July 1st of 2020. The safety protocol at the museum is officially award-winning. We just earned a 2021 New York State Tourism Excellence Award for our pandemic safety digital marketing campaign. And so we're very proud of that. Our safety protocols include temperature scanning, clear signage, positive language, reasonable capacities in all of our demonstration areas, and making sure that we're encouraging social distancing. We have an online ticketing system, so that helps us control capacity. Our current capacity at the museum is 1,400 guests. On a busy day, in a normal summer, we'd get up to 4,000 guests a day. So we're still, we're a little concerned about capacity coming into the summer. You know, we'd like to have a little bit more, but that will depend on social distancing and some of the changes that are coming about, which seem to be happening quickly with daily updates from the governor, from the CDC. A surprising anecdote that may be interesting to a lot of you is that through April of this year, we were actually ahead of our 2019 visitation. So month by month, we had greater visitation in January, February, March, and April than we did in 2019. And, you know, we really credit this to the fact that the museum was perceived as a safe place to visit, and it was something to do. You know, honestly, a lot of people aren't traveling far afield to destinations that they might want to go to abroad, but maybe regional tourism was on the uptick a little bit, and we were really happy to see the results of that. Looking forward to the summer, here I have, on the slide here, you see one of our summer exhibits, an exhibit that was actually up last summer as well, but we really didn't talk about it too much. It's called Dish It. It looks at the history of Corelle. Corelle is another brand from Corning Incorporated that many of you may have in your cupboard at home. There's those very durable white dishes. It was a process that was developed here in Corning. It's still made in the factory that's pictured here, right on the Chemung River. So this is the only place in the world that Corelle dishware is made, and we have a really nice little mini exhibit up about it right now. Our feature exhibit, which is actually opening this Saturday, May 22nd, is called Sparkling Company. So this is, the subtitle is Glass and the Cost of Social Life in Britain in the 1700s. The exhibit features the shift in social life in which all that sparkled was valued anew. It also highlights the cost of colonialism and creating wealth for the most fortunate. So not only are we presenting the beautiful sparkling objects, we're also talking about the social circumstances that led to those objects coming into being. And, you know, unfortunately, when you take a close look at those things, you know, all of this wealth and the value that we see in this wealth was driven by the slave trade and the hunger for sugar, which was relatively new in Europe in the 1700s. But it will be a great exhibit. It's opening very soon. I've been here at the museum for a long time. It's one of the most beautifully presented exhibits that I've ever seen here. So really, really nice graphic support and design and style of the exhibit. So this is I think a must-see exhibit here at the museum this summer. Another one that I'm really excited about is an exhibit that we're calling Fire and Vine. And this exhibit opens a little later, so this will open on July 3rd. And one of the nice things about this is very often our feature exhibits only stay open for one season, but Fire and Vine will actually be open through 2022. So Fire and Vine is the story of glass and wine. And, you know, for as long as glass has existed, which is around 3,500 years now, it's played a role in either the crafting or the consumption of wine. And so this exhibit will take a look at the role of glass in winemaking and wine consumption over the years. And one of the things that I'm very excited about is that it also features the local wine industry. We just thought it would be a terrible oversight not to highlight the great wine culture that we have in the region. And so we're doing a lot to highlight that and support it in this exhibit. And, you know, we're working with local wineries, collecting objects from them to display in Fire and Vine this summer. So very exciting exhibit. Again, this will be up through the summer of 2022. So something for you to all consider and to maybe recommend to people coming through the region who want to learn more about that kind of thing. And of course, as mentioned at the top here, we do have an exhibit which features work made in the hit Netflix show Blown Away. the second season of Netflix, Blown Away, the competition reality show about glassmaking, was launched in this spring, and we just got some amazing statistics back from our visitor survey. If we have a really fantastic exhibit on display here, usually about 10% of people will mention that it played a factor in them visiting the museum. Right now, we're getting about 25% of our visitors saying that they're coming to the museum because they saw glassmaking and the Corning Museum of Glass on Blown Away. And that is just stunning for us. So the reach and the profile of Blown Away and what it's done for glassmaking and glassmakers has been huge. So in the slide here, you can see our team of glassmakers, our role, including me in the back row there. So our role on the show for the last 2 seasons was to provide we provide a residency for the winner of the show. And we also support the 2 finalists in the final episode. So we send glassmakers to assist the finalists in the final episode. And it's just been a really great way for the museum to be associated with this. And in fact, we worked with the producers of the show. It's a company called Marble Media. And believe it or not, the show is actually filmed in Hamilton, Ontario, which is probably about an hour and a half or 2 hours from Rochester. So it's just across the border in Ontario. And it's produced by a production team out of Toronto. And so we head up to Hamilton. We spend a week there working with the artists when they're filming the show. And just a partnership that has exposed us to new audiences as a glassmaker, to see my friends and colleagues benefit from the notoriety that the show has shown glassmaking. It's just been really magical to see and to be a part of. So here at the museum, you can see an exhibit which features an objects from each of the contestants of Blown Away. And we produced a video which talks about our participation. So a really cool thing to check out if you're able to make it down here. Of course, we do, daily demonstrations. Our glassmaking team, peak season here, will do about 25 live glassmaking demonstrations every day. So, we want to make sure that everybody comes here, gets to see glass being made. And as was mentioned, we have a make your own workshop where people can try a little hands-on experience. Of course, that's been modified because of social distancing and masking and everything, but we really are hopeful that we're coming through that. So I really blasted through the presentation here because I wanted to make sure that I had a little bit of time for questions. So that's really what I have to share in terms of the presentation. And if anybody has anything they'd like to ask me about, please let me know in the chat. Yeah, thanks in the chat for the call out for the Pierre Penguin campaign. That was really a fun and effective way for us to talk to our guests about how to, especially when the pandemic thing was new, about how to keep everyone safe when they're in the museum here. So.
Actually, I have some questions. Some have come to me privately. So one of the questions is how many factories do you have around the world, if you know that one?
I don't. So, the museum is an independent nonprofit museum. We're no longer directly associated with Corning Incorporated. They do provide some of our funding, but they're also sort of weaning us, and we're more and more working with our advancement and development department to generate funding by other methods. So I don't really know. The statistics I've heard about Corning Incorporated is that they have around 50,000 employees worldwide and literally hundreds of factories. I know here in New York State, there's a number of factories around Corning. Those Valor glass vials are made in a factory in Big Flats, which is a small community about 10 miles away from here. They have a facility up in Canton, New York, north of the Adirondacks, that produces specialty glass, including the high purity fused silica used to make optical fiber. So some of the very specialized things happen here regionally, and then a lot of the stuff that's used to make digital devices is produced where those devices are made, because they can't ship these giant sheets of glass that they're used to make display glasses. So South Korea, Taiwan, and China, of course.
Any word if there's going to be a third season of the Netflix show?
So from talking to the producers, Netflix always does season by season. And they never buy like a block of 5 seasons. But when Netflix had first launched, it was, I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Bridgerton. Netflix was actually viewed more than Bridgerton, so it's immensely popular on Netflix. I always think it is just because I'm interested in glass, but it is hugely popular. And I would be absolutely amazed if there's not more seasons. We've been continuing to talk to them about remaining engaged with the series just because it's so beneficial to the museum. But they haven't let on if there's going to be another season or not. But if I were to wager, I think I would say that there probably will be.
So we all need to go turn our Netflix on so they know that we're watching, because they're checking that.
Yeah, it's great. We're just so happy that it turned out respectful to the medium. I mean, one of the reasons that we decided to get involved in it is just because we wanted it to be serious and respectful to the craft, and we're so happy that they were open to that, and they made it that. When you hear competition reality, it doesn't always conjure up the most positive images, but I think they just did a wonderful job.
They really did, because my husband, who's not a TV watcher at all, like sat and watched both seasons with me, and he even commented the other day, he's like, the thing that just gets him is that they spend hours on this object, and in an instant it's gone, and how they just sort of like pop back from it, like, okay, like it happens every day. It's like no other medium is really like that, and it's incredibly hot, they're just, some of the stuff was just outrageous. Like it was true art, and it was so cool to see.
That's really true. The glass makers, like, I can deal with broken glass better than anyone. One of the things I'll say, just from the visitation standpoint, that we've seen that's also very encouraging, is that it's really encouraged multi-generational watching and visitation. And so we'll have, parents bring in their teenage kids who, they, just because they're both so excited about the show, or grandparents bringing in their grandkids, because they made this connection by watching the show together. It was one of those shows that anyone could watch and enjoy on their own level.
What got you into glassblowing personally?
I took it as an elective when I went to college.
Okay.
There are a handful of schools around the country. I went to school out in Ohio. I had to take an art elective. Glassblowing was the only one that was still open when I went to sign up, and so I started that way. I will say that up in Rochester, RIT is one of the most prestigious glass schools in the country, and so today here at the museum, we work a lot with students from RIT and from Alfred University, like when we're recruiting talent to help us out over the summers and then develop into full-time employees. RIT and Alfred are absolutely the places that we see the most success.
Oh, good. I love that connection between RIT and Southern Tier.
Yeah.
One of the questions is, and I don't know if you can answer this, what makes Pyrex glass so resistant to high temperatures? And we all do have Pyrex everywhere. I have my grandmother's, and my mom still has her full set of the white plates with the gold flowers, every single one of them. I mean, maybe that's a problem because you can't ever replace those because you never need to.
It's amazing. I mean, they're just so incredibly durable. So Corning, over their history, they have developed something like 60,000 different formulas of glass. The glass, and I'll explain it this way: glass is like bread, right? And you can make a baguette, or you can make Wonder Bread, and it just depends on the different trace ingredients that you put into it. And Pyrex, it's about, all glass is made up of sand, silica, just like all bread is made out of flour. Not all bread, but you know what I mean. And to that sand, you can add agents to give it different properties and to help it melt better. To make Pyrex, you add boron, so it's called a borosilicate glass, as opposed to a standard glass like what you drink out of, or a peanut butter jar or a window. That's called soda lime glass. So it has sand, soda ash, and limestone. So it's just basically different formulations. Another basic different formulation of glass is lead crystal. So it's another family of glass where you have sand and you add lead to it, lead oxide, to help it melt down and to refract light differently. So those are the three basic families of glass: Pyrex or borosilicate, lead glass, and soda lime glass.
Eric, you put together such a wonderful presentation, and I love the history of it. And I just want to thank you so much for your time today. I encourage every single one of us to go down to the Corning Museum. Even if you've been before, museum is so well curated. There's always new things in there. So it's definitely worth the trip. And really, like I said, you guys are a true gem in our community. So thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you. We certainly value being part of such a rich region. And I think the visitation potential for the corridor between here and Rochester is so huge that we're proud to be part of this whole family and to support more people coming and enjoying all the wonderful things we have to offer here.
And day trip's the word this year. So day trip on down to Corning. So thank you again. Right. I appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Thanks for inviting me.
Guys, we're going to move on to our committee updates. Don't forget, committees help Visit Rochester service the membership in the very best way possible, and the steering committee help pull this meeting together. So I want to thank all our committee chairs for helping and shaping our unique and active organization here. Before we do committees, just want to remind you afterwards, after committees and Visit Rochester staff, we're going to do 30-second announcement updates. So put that in the chat for me so I can call on you if you want to do a 30-second announcement, and be sure to put your web links in the chat as well so people can go there should they need to. So right into VIC committee chairs, because Greg said I need to move along. Danielle Hildreth with Frontline Training Task Force. Are you on the line?
Hello, I am on the line.
How are you?
I am great, thank you. I'm actually just going to put a quick thing in the chat just so you guys can follow along. We're really excited. Over the past year, Visit Rochester really took advantage of the time that we had, and they improved and continued the Rockstar program with an online option. So it's an e-learning. Again, it's a much more than what we had done before with the Rockstar in person, because it's online and we can do it on demand. So we are really excited about rolling that out. It's in the final stages. And we're looking for task force to help with the rollout campaign of that program. We'd like to find members from each sector of the hospitality and tourism industry so that we make sure all of the frontline, we're inclusive, and it's all frontline staff. And we are going to have our first meeting next Tuesday, the 25th. So if you're interested in joining, I did put my email in the chat. Please let me know. And, really the goal is that we have our frontline be really knowledgeable about our region and have a positive impact on the tourism growth of our region. So if you would like to be involved, let me know. Again, next meeting is Tuesday, the 25th. And I don't know, I'll have to ask, I did send in a little clip so that you guys could see a little bit about what this e-learning training looks like. So I'm not sure if we have that ready or not. If we do, great. Rachel's on it. Yeah, thank you. So that just showed a couple of activities. So you can see it's really interactive, but it is definitely geared towards educating our frontline staff on our region, customer service, and how we can have a big impact on tourism. Everyone can have a big impact on tourism. So if you want to be involved, let me know.
Thank you, Danielle. Next, we're going to go to the social media committee. Chelsea Warnick for Nina Puccini today. Chelsea?
Yes. Hi, guys. So Nina is actually on vacation this week. So I am your staff liaison. So I'll be giving you guys a quick update on what we have in the works with our committee over actually the next couple months. So the social media committee will convene again on Tuesday, June 22nd. And during this meeting, we're going to start the process of conducting digital business audits that will assess your business's online presence. So the audit that we're going to be doing is not limited to looking at your Google search results, your ranking with Google, a high-level overview of your website, looking at your social presence and your platforms on social, among other things. So this is open to all Visit Rochester members. It's not just our committee members. And the plan is on June 22nd when we meet, we're going to pair up the different attendees, and we're going to go over the different guidelines and the documents on how to conduct the audit. And then you'll have 1 minute, or well, not 1 minute, 1 month to complete your audit for your partner. And then we're going to share our findings at the July meeting, which will be on July 28th. So again, we're going to meet in June, pair up. Please attend this meeting if you're interested in participating in this. And then you'll have 1 month to complete your audit for your partner. And then we're going to go over and share those findings and, recommendations on how you can update or, add some, best practices for your digital presence. So more information about the Zoom meeting and a link will be provided in the next couple weeks. So please be on the lookout for that. And again, if you have any questions, you can send me a chat or an email, chelseaw@visitrochester.com.
Thanks, Chelsea. I'm going to move on to Meredith Howie for Rock for a Reason.
Hey everybody, I'm Meredith Howie with the Floriano Convention Center and chair of the Rock for a Reason task force. We've had a busy month. The first week in May was National Travel and Tourism Week, and Visit Rochester put together some really nice goodie baskets for all of the staff and volunteers that are working at the vaccination sites. So we helped deliver all those for them as a committee. And also on May 8th, we went to Mount Hope Cemetery and helped with their landscaping and cleanup. So thank you for everybody that helped out with the deliveries and the cleanups. We got really good feedback from the vaccination sites. They were very appreciative and thankful that we were thinking of them. So thank you, everybody. We do have a meeting coming up June 10th. We are going to try to do an in-person meeting safely, of course. We're looking for an outdoor location right now, so stay tuned for that. And we are also looking for some weekends in June or July to go to the public market and help out with the Rock City Pickers. Every Saturday, they sort leftover vegetables and then they are donated to local hunger relief agencies. So we're looking for a weekend where we can get together and help out there. I'll put my contact information in the chat after that. If you're interested in joining us, or if you're an organization that needs volunteers, please let me know and we'll do our best to help recruit for you.
That's great. Thanks. Thanks so much, Meredith. Membership engagement with Jessica Cotis.
Hi, everyone. We have been busy. I know a lot of you played with us at the Rockin' Game Night, and we really appreciate that. But we have been busy planning our first in-person membership engagement committee meeting, and event, and I'm super excited about it. It's June 24th. Please mark your calendars. An invite's going to go out. We'll have more details. We're just kind of sussing it out. But June 24th from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m., we are going to be teaming up and joining the Colonial Belle. We're going to take a little, I won't call it a booze cruise, but we're going to take a little cruise down the canal. And there's going to be little hors d'oeuvres, and there will be drinks. And there will be a small registration fee to join us, but a portion of it will be going to a nonprofit, which we will announce at a later date. So yeah, that is what we're doing, and we're really excited. So June 24th from 3 to 5. There is limited capacity. I think we're thinking between like 60 and 80 people, but we'll see how this goes, and especially with all the legislation and everything, how that's going to open up. Yeah, I'm excited.
That actually sounds fun. And game night was so much fun. It was so much fun. Even in my house, it was a lot of fun. The bingo he was a trip. So if you missed it, next time we do that for sure. I'm gonna move on to Emily Foe in Tour and Travel.
Hi everyone, this is Emily with the RIT Indian Conference Center Chair of the Tour Travel Committee. At our last meeting, we talked about ways that we can work to incentivize groups to book tours to Rochester. And one idea that we came up with was creating some type of itinerary package that would include some promotions and incentives, but the goal would be that we're making it easier for tour operators to sell Rochester. We know that our friends in that segment have definitely experienced layoffs and hardships throughout the pandemic. So our hope is that the easier we can make it for them to come, the more likely that they might be to come. So we'll be working on that moving forward. We're also participating in one-on-one appointments at the ABA Virtual Marketplace. next week, and we look forward to having some industry-specific updates to share following that. And lastly, our next meeting date is not set, but once it is, we'll be sure to put it on the Facebook forum, so keep an eye out for that.
Awesome, thank you. And then events enhancement with John Tassone.
How's it going? Yes, John Tassone from RIT University Arenas. We had our last committee Zoom meeting a week ago on Tuesday, May 11th. We had a presentation from Steve Edelman, who spoke to us on super spreader events and how to avoid them. It was a very timely presentation. Steve is the vice president of the Event Safety Alliance, and was great to get him to join us and speak. We will have a meeting on the books very soon, and we'll for our next meeting we'll get that updated and the information out. We're hoping to meet in person. We're talking about that, or providing that option, so that's exciting. Watching the new guidance that's been coming out, and we've been sharing information, a lot of new guidance in the last couple of weeks. Just yesterday, the guidance on recommendations for fully vaccinated people, and a lot of exciting stuff for small and large scale events, a lot of new rules and guidance. So it's been very exciting. We're hoping to, seems like soon we should be headed to a point where we can get our committee back on track to what it originally was formed to do. So to enhance events, with more events coming soon, hopefully. So we're excited about pivoting back to a normal, to what our original focus was supposed to be. So that's all for now.
Fingers crossed for all of us. Diana Rapp with the IDEA Committee.
Hi, everyone. The IDEA Committee, which stands for Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Accessibility, is busy preparing for the kickoff of our educational engagement series. So we intend to host monthly presentations with various leaders within the IDEA principles and how you can implement their best practices. Our first session will take place on June 4th. And will feature Dr. Gerard Buckley, who is the president of the National Technical Institute for the Deaf at RIT, and Alicia Allen, their director of NTID's Department of Diversity and Inclusion. So watch your email for more information. And if you're interested in joining this committee or attending our next meeting, it will be this Friday at 9:30 a.m. via Zoom. Thank you.
And you're gonna put that link in the chat for us?
Sure.
Thank you. Local contact with Justin Cheshire. Justin? Not on the call?
If Justin isn't here, I can grab it.
Okay, I think you probably better, Rich.
Okay. Yeah, so we had our last meeting for Local Contact Advisory Council on May 11th, as we're continuing to try and find and uncover more ambassadors to, on our behalf, tell people to come to Rochester with their meetings or events. So we're continuing to do that. We are going to have our next meeting on June 16th at Cheshire AV. We're encouraging everyone to think about bringing a new guest. And we also encourage anyone else who's interested in learning more about the committee to send me or Justin a note, and we will we'll get you set up and hopefully get you at the next meeting. And at that meeting, our main purpose is going to be planning our fall in-person event, hopefully. So a networking event in the fall to tell everyone what Visit Rochester can do for their convention to bring to Rochester. Thank you.
Great, thanks. And to wrap things up, New York State Association Task Force, Alicia, are you on the line?
I am, thanks, Julie. I'm Alicia with Visit Rochester for the New York State Task Force, and I'm the liaison. We have a goal with the New York State meeting planners as to reach out to them and touching points. So it's obviously been difficult this year. We can't go in person per usual. So the new thing we're kind of thinking of is doing a sales blitz. So strengthen numbers and just maybe sitting down a couple hours and making, 5 to 10 calls each, and then sharing all that information to touch with our planners. So we have a great task force committee, but if you would like to join our next call just to see what we're about, or join our next meeting number 2 is next week, May 25th at 2:30. I will put the sign up for the task force in the chat, but feel free to reach out, call or email if you just want to hear a little more, or jump on to hear what it's about without commitment. So that will be in the chat next. Thank you.
Thank you. And before we move on to Visit Rochester and the steering committee, Rachel, can you put the poll up? We're gonna do a quick poll as things are opening up and regulations are relaxing a little bit. We're just sort of curious everyone's feeling on the possibility of having an in-person VIC meeting this summer. So you can just answer that poll and submit it. We can put the results up towards the end of the meeting here. And then I'm going to do steering updates. Steering committee, again, is the group that helps to plan this meeting. And we have 3 openings coming up in the next 2 months for See and Do, for Shop, and for Services. And this is the formal nomination for those openings. So we are pleased to nominate Jess Dakotas for Shop, John Tassone for See and Do, and Justin Cheshire for Services. Can I get a second to that nomination? Okay, thanks, Jess. And all in favor, just raise your hands. We'll go from there. Okay, so welcome to John and Jess and Justin. We look forward to your new ideas and your energy. So we'll see you soon. And from there, we're going to go right into Visit Rochester staff updates. This staff has been working incredibly hard over the past 15 months to make sure that we are engaged and, you know, moving forward to the light at the end of this tunnel, which we are seeing closer and closer. So I'm going to start with Rachel Polvino.
Take off my Zoom DJ hat for a second here. Hi, everyone. It's so nice to see you virtually. I hope you've had a chance to get out and enjoy this beautiful weather, including, of course, Highland Park as pictured here. So yes, things have been so busy lately. I'm just going to share a few highlights of what's going on over in our neck of the woods. So the Explore Guide, it's back. It's coming back. It's going to be published at the end of June, and we are very quickly working on reviewing listings. We are, just so you all know, once again, going to apply an evergreen approach to our events calendar just because so much has still been up in the air. So rather than having to nail down specific dates and then having those things change, we're just going to include a listing of these are some of the most recognizable special events here in Rochester, and this is when they typically would take place. So if you have any questions on that, please let me know. But we are working on the Explore Guide. We hosted our first travel blogger last weekend. We have another person coming in this weekend. We're working to schedule more press trips. Let's see what else is going on. I know that Chelsea has, as always, been very hard at work building out our web content, our social media content, and we actually recently just launched our first TikTok video. Yes, you heard it here first. Visit Rochester is officially on TikTok. So huge kudos to Chelsea for launching our TikTok channel. If you are on TikTok, please follow us. But we actually started off with a really cool video tour at Highland Park, and that's a new avenue that we have to better support you and to help promote your businesses and what you have going on. So if you'd like to learn more, maybe partner with us on a TikTok or an Instagram Reels video, let us know. We'd love to talk to you and see how we might be able to work together. But yeah, we're really busy around here, but we're so happy that things are opening back up and there's more to share than ever before. So friendly reminder to continue to post all of your events to our website. We are going to start once again having our monthly event blog post roundups. And when you submit stuff to our events calendar, it helps us see that you've got something going on. It helps us include that in blog content, social media, all that good stuff. I think that's it. And yeah, have a great rest of your day, everyone.
Thanks, Rachel. Moving to Wendy Ford. Wendy.
Hi, Julie. Thanks, everyone. It's so exciting to hear and that everyone is interested in in-person events and meeting in person, and that we're moving forward here. So same in the sales department. So we've got lots going on, so bear with me here. Just this last week, we hosted 2 site visits. So we are gearing up for that. These were 2 pieces of business that we've already secured. Pilot International, which is coming in June of 22 with over 1,300 room nights, and College Music Society, which is moving forward for this October with 830 room nights. So we're very hopeful with this October event moving forward. During National Travel and Tourism Week, the sales department hosted a DOS in-person event, our first in-person event at Radio Social. It was awesome to be able to network and kind of feel semi-normal. We had a little bowling competition between the VR sales team and the Hyatt sales team. I have no no idea who won. So that's between them, but there were lots of laughs. The food was great. Thank you to everyone who came out. We had about 20 people, and a shout out to Radio Social. You guys did a fabulous job. It's a great place to go for offsite venue and just to have some great food and a good time. Next on the agenda, on Thursday this week, Alicia and I will be traveling to Syracuse for MPI Upstate New York Chapter's annual meeting. This is also MPI's first in-person event. I am currently the VP of membership, so I will be starting a new term on the board, which starts in July as president-elect. And I also am pleased to be joined by a few Visit Rochester members who have joined the board, which is very exciting. So I welcome Justin Cheshire from Cheshire AV, who will serve as the Director of Membership, and Kevin Marsh with CMI Communications, who will serve as the Director at Large. So it's great to have a great Rochester presence in the New York State market, and we're looking forward to our adventure ahead. Sports. So sports continues to be our driver. It is coming back full force. With just a week's notice, Libby was able to secure rooms for Division II women's lacrosse and Division III men's lacrosse last weekend with over 750 room nights. It was awesome. It was a great event. I think that helped fill those lost college graduation rooms. So kudos to Libby on that. This weekend coming up, we have the New York State West State Cup Soccer that's being held at Lakefront Park in Webster. This is an event that's been relocated from Corning, and there will be over 100 soccer teams coming from across Western New York to compete. Let's see, what else do we have going on here? So we've recently participated in a program called Scout. It's a database of RFPs to assist with our sport events. We've already seen a great investment as 2 leads that have related to the sports related conferences have been received. The sports conferences is a market that we are aggressively pursuing, and I think we're going to have some good success there. So let's see, Rich Mackey, after a week-long visit with My Hockey last month, Rich received 5 RFPs after Amy left. My Hockey has a great relationship with our hotel partners and also Bill Gray's. I know she met with many of you, so thank you very much for all of your time, and it's a great relationship to have, and y'all did a great job on that. So now lastly, I just want to share that the sales department continues to see things moving forward, and with the restrictions being lifted, we are feeling very good, very optimistic. We're very excited. And so to share our excitement, I've put together a short little video. Can you give me sharing screen capacity there, Rachel? Thank you. So the sales team doesn't know that I did this, so I'm really sorry, peeps, but I just want everyone to know that you guys are doing a fantastic job. And I just wanted to share some of the sunshine with our VIP members, or VIC members. So everyone enjoy.
That was great.
Okay, so I'm sure they're all going to kill me tomorrow, but I just hope it brought a little sunshine to your day. So thank you.
I think it absolutely did. That was fantastic. I love that you did that. And I love that you guys are so busy. It's a really good breath.
Feels really good.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And I don't know how you're gonna follow that, Diana, but it's all you.
She's got it.
Hey, hi again, everyone. What a tough act to follow, Wendy. Anyways, it seems like the last week or so, someone flipped the switch and we are back in business. And looking at our arrival list data, we're thrilled to be at 87.6% of our pre-pandemic level visitation. So that means from January through April of this year, we're down just 12.4% from January through April of 2019. And we are up 18% over this time in 2020 when the world had just shut down. So things are looking great. Our top origin markets during this first third of the year include the major metros of New York City, Boston, and Philadelphia, and in-state markets of Buffalo, Syracuse, Elmira, Utica, Albany, Binghamton, and Watertown. Regarding our marketing initiatives, the family marketing program Come Play in Our Backyard has kicked off its third media flight, and we're busy continuing to develop new messaging for the Canadian market to coincide with the border reopening whenever that may be. Rachel, Chelsea, and I recently received 2 Tourism Excellence Awards from NYSTIA, which is the New York State Tourism Industry Association, and one was for the family program for excellence in niche marketing, and another for our Rochester Rising Recovery Initiative over the past year. If you're not aware, the CFA grant process offered by New York State has launched for this year. However, they've changed the process slightly, and they will be accepting applications on a rolling basis, with the first deadline being June 30th. From a Market New York standpoint, they're looking for collaborative projects between multiple entities or regions. Finally, we're busy with our Wine, Water, and Wonders International Focus Program. We're in the process of redesigning our Wine, Water, and Wonders website and developing new themed experiences to offer to the international marketplace. And if you're interested in international visitation, we're hosting a webinar tomorrow with our with international market updates from our colleagues at Brand USA, who is basically America's version of Visit Rochester. And the registration details are in the member forum, and I can pop that in the chat as well. So thanks everyone, and please be in touch with any questions.
Diana, how do you measure those metrics of arrival? Is that flights or?
It uses like cell phone technology and an algorithm coupled together, and it's through a third-party company that we pay for that data.
Gotcha, thank you. Moving on to Amanda Fox.
Perfect, thanks everybody. Yeah, like Wendy and Diana said, the floodgates have opened, which is very exciting. So Wendy referenced a few of our late last minute bookings that we recently turned. So Amber and I quickly turned around some quick services for those groups. But we do have USA Diving coming up this month, as well as New York West this weekend. So busy end of month here, and kicking into June and July and August, we're ready for some additional sporting events, but also a number of single property conferences. So it's nice to see meetings and conferences coming back as well. Just a couple of reminders, special offers, because we do have a number of events happening and coming back this summer. If you don't have special offers for event attendees, please submit those or reach out to Amber and I with any questions. We definitely don't want you to be missed on those. As well as if you are receiving service requests and not sure how to answer those, we've been sending a number of catering needs, space needs, transportation needs lately. And if you have any questions, please just reach out to Amber and I at any time. We'd be happy to go over the extranet and service requests and how to best answer those to win some of that business, as well as go over the convention calendar. So feel free to reach out to us anytime. Thanks, Julie.
Thanks, Amanda. And last but not least, Mr. Greg Loduca.
Thank you, Julie. Couple of updates. As you know, the first week in May, we kicked off National Travel and Tourism Week. I partnered with the Visit Rochester staff. We were in the 4 corners of Monroe County on site, and we engaged with over 150 of you, our members, handing out things like gift certificates to Nick Tahoe's, ice cream from Abbott's on all 4 days, and some treats from some of our sweeter members as well. As you heard last month, we are at the Lilac Festival with our information booth, which has been very, very busy. Lilacs are in peak bloom, so I do suggest getting out there this week or this weekend. And lastly, I'm happy to report that starting in June, we are going to start staffing the airport again. Airport numbers and traffic are on the rise. June and July are typically the airport's busiest months, so we will start to staff out there starting in June. And lastly, Elena and I, as well as the entire Visit Rochester staff, we welcomed 4 new members this month. So please welcome and engage with Bavona Child Advocacy Center. Also, Nothing Bunt Cakes in Henrietta. If you haven't been, I suggest to visit out there for a bunt cake, or a buntlet as they're called, mini bunt cakes. Bristol Hills Lavender Farm, and Excelsis Solutions, which is large format printing. We will welcome them on the Facebook forum, and hopefully you will take opportunity to engage with them in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we're going to move on to our 30-second member announcements, rolling right along today. A few of you, don't forget, if you want me to call on you, just put it right in the chat and I will do. But we're going to start out with, here's my list, Stephanie Spicchio. Stephanie, are you ready to go?
Hi, thank you. And just want to say that was a fantastic video. So thank you for sharing that with all of us, Wendy. I wanted to let you, I'm from the Watkins Glen Area Chamber of Commerce, and I wanted to let you all know we are just a stone's throw away. And when you come down to see the Corning Museum of Glass, I'm hoping that you might also choose to hike through the state park. The Watkins Glen State Park was just named the New York State's #1 park by Condé Nast Travelers, so we're kind of proud of that. And also just to celebrate a little bit, like the rest of you all, I'm hearing we're ready to move back to live events. We have our first live event on June 9th. It's an after-hours mixer, and so we're excited about that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yarmila Hustler from the Cornell Cooperative Extension. Yarmila.
Hello. Hello, everybody, too, and thank you so much for having me. This is not my first attendance at VIC, but I am not a regular as well. I work for Cornell Cooperative Extension as an agricultural and food system educator. And listening to this workshop or to this meeting, you've touched on so many things that I do, including working with Wickham Farms, working with Stokies, growing and planting and tending for the gardens, Lilac Festival. I wanted to mention that if you are a gardener, I would like to invite you to one of my presentations that's going to be on May the 26th, next Wednesday from 6:30 to 7:30 through Central Public Library. And it's called Small Space Gardening. But Cornell Extension also is supporting farmers, agritourism farmers, and that is why the connection with Visit Rochester. And we work with many of the UPICs as well as event farming activities. So we have many of local food guide resource is listed on our website. So if you are looking for fresh, locally grown produce, visit our website. And I am hoping to connect with Visit Rochester in many different ways. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And next is Katie Campbell. Katie.
Hi, Julie. Hi, everyone on the call. I'm Katie. I am the Marketing Communications Manager for Dick's House of Sport at Eastview Mall. Just wanted to quickly provide some details here with events coming up that we have starting this Saturday. We're really excited to bring you this brand new workout with Shark Tank product developed by Sarah Apgar that we carry in our fitness section. But we've designed a whole workout around this product called Fit Fighter, which is essentially a steel hose free weight, but similar to a boot camp. It's this Saturday, May 22nd. There's 3 sessions, 9:30, 11 a.m., and 12:30 p.m. And I really encourage anyone who just wants to get out, and it's going to be gorgeous this weekend, to come and give us a shot and see what you think. This is the first of its kind, so we really just want to have some fun with it. And please, tell friends that live in the Victor or, regional part of Eastview Mall, and we'd love to see them out here. In addition to that, we have a sports nutrition seminar Wednesday, May 19th. That's tomorrow. Youth Climbing 101 for ages 6 to 13-year-olds, Thursday, May 27th. A Mom and Daughter Empowerment Workshop, Saturday, June 5th. And Monday, June 7th, we'll be doing a dance class with 305 Fitness in the evening, also open to all ages. But the best way to stay up to date with us is to follow our Facebook and Instagram account. It's at Dick's House of Sport, ROC. And the flyer that Julie has provided in this chat, there's a QR code that goes directly to our events and services webpage. Check it out. We have a lot more events coming up into June, but we'd also love to hear from you too. And I've included events ROC at DCSG. I belong to the community team here, and we do a ton of outreach tours if you haven't been yet. And if you know of any instructors or people that want to partner with us, we'd love to host you on site and show you around. But thanks, everyone. I'll follow up in the chat with some additional details.
Thanks, Katie. And next we have Tammy from the Colonial Bell. I think you are still sailing around Seneca Lake for a few more days, correct?
Yes, we are on Seneca Lake. Our last public tour is this Sunday, May 23rd from 2 to 4 p.m. So that'll be our last chance to ride the Bell on Seneca Lake. And then we have a transit cruise on Tuesday, May 25th. We're going all the way from Seneca Lake back to Fairport. We go through the entire Cayuga Seneca Canal, part of the Erie Canal, 13 locks and back to Fairport. And we're taking a very limited number of passengers on that cruise. We start our cruises on the canal out of Fairport on May 28th through mid-October. All of our information is on our website. Thanks.
That actually sounds like so much fun. Great way to see our beautiful states. Dan Schneiderman telling us why we need to get up at the very early morning hours coming up here soon. Dan?
So on June 10th at 5:30 in the morning, there is going to be a deep partial annular solar eclipse. Basically, that means that we will have a crescent sun right at sunrise. It will be going on for just a few minutes. You will need eclipse glasses in order to watch them. I'm sorry, solar viewers. I know I'm trying to get into the habit of saying that more and more. But to give you a quick idea of what this is going to look like. So right as the sun is rising, you're going to see this stunning crescent rise, and then the moon slowly just fade away at that early morning. We will be doing viewing parties at Hamlin Beach State Park and I believe Martin Road Park in Henrietta. Going to be a gorgeous view, highly recommended, and we will have these on site in case anyone else needs them. Thanks all.
Thank you. Terry from Longacres, your 30 seconds. Terry, are you still on? Okay, Susan from Bristol Hills. Susan?
Hi. Oh, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, sorry. We have an Inspired by Peonies workshop coming up at our farm. And so it'll be a discussion, observation, and then design a bouquet. And that is June 14th from 10 to 12, the 18th from 6 to 8, and the 19th, 6 to 8. And so we have over 2,000 peonies, and you'll be able to see them in full bloom.
Awesome. Thank you. And I think our very last one is Kelly with the Alumni Actor and Artist Series. Kelly?
Hi, everyone. I'm going to turn my video on there. Yeah, I've got the RIT Alumni Actor Artist Author Series happening tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. We have an alum who started off as a high school photography teacher for 20 years. And when he retired, he joined Starbucks as a barista just to keep himself out of trouble. And within a year, he was running the store. And then within 3 years, they had him at the head office, and he became the Starbucks brand manager for Asia and coffee ambassador. And then he just retired from that and finished writing a book called Coffee for Dummies for the For Dummies Corporation. And it just got released in March. It's one of the fastest selling books on Amazon. And I get to interview him tomorrow night at a Coffees for Dummy webinar, and he's just a great, fun individual. And if for some reason you all haven't been completely zoomed out by 6 p.m. tomorrow, you are more than welcome to join us. It's open to the public.
Thank you. That sounds like fun. Interesting story.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, that wraps up 30-second announcements. And before we go on to trivia, just a reminder to stay on the call if your organization serves food or drink, or if you just like to eat or drink anything, as the rules are changing on a daily, hourly basis. It seems like Kevin Dugan, the Director of Government Affairs for New York State Restaurant Association, Kelly Metris and Kelly Bush are going to be on the call to answer any questions that you might have after a quick presentation. But first, it's purple bag trivia time without the actual purple bag, and I'm going to send it on over to Jeff Connolly, your 2021 Vice Chair. Jess? Are you on the line, Jess? Okay, I apparently am doing purple bag trivia because she did send them to me just in case. Elena, do you know what the prizes are?
Julie, I was muted and I forgot.
Okay. All you, girl.
I was talking to myself. Anyway. Okay, so hi, everyone. Thank you for everybody who took the time to present, give their updates. Always very well received and appreciated. So we decided, seeing that we're getting into the warmer months and travel is starting to come back around, that we were going to do travel themed trivia questions. I have 4 questions for you, and remember, when you answer, please put the number of the question and then your answer, otherwise you don't count. So number 1, your answer in the chat. Have quick fingers. Somebody else needs to monitor the chat because I can't watch it.
Okay, I'll monitor.
Okay, sweet. So first question.
Wait, what's the prize?
Oh.
The first prize is a spa basket from Del Lago.
Good prize.
Great prize.
Okay. Get your fingers ready for this one.
All right, so this is the first question, and here goes nothing. In what year did the Frederick Douglass Greater Rochester International Airport first open? In what year did the Frederick Douglass Greater Rochester Airport first open? Like your answer, Dan, but no, like before it was the Frederick Douglass one.
As in
when did ROC open?
Yeah, when did ROC open? There's lots of numbers, but none of the right ones.
You're
pretty close though.
Oh, there you go,
Stacy
Vandenberg.
Stacy Vandenberg. It was 1960. In 1960, Rochester Municipal Airport opened at its current location, 7 miles south of downtown Rochester. In 1965, runway 13 was 6,400 feet and runway 2 was 4,000 feet. Fun facts.
Fun facts. Okay, question number 2. So put number 2 in the chat and get ready to go. And what is this prize?
It is a Brown Hound goodie bag. So probably some great sweet treats.
Very cool. That's compliments of Sue Maddock, I assume. All right, Jess, question number 2.
On it. So, because I'm a hotel girl, located at the northwest corner of Main, formerly Buffalo Street, and State Streets, what was the name of Rochester's first hotel? They get easier after this, I promise.
Way back, it's in the 1920s.
1820s.
That's what I meant, 1820s.
Yeah. No. It's a bird. There's your hint.
It's our national symbol, bird. There you go, Katie.
Yay!
The Carol.
The Eagle Hotel was built in the 1820s and for several decades was Rochester's leading hotel. It closed its doors in 1863 and then the Powers Building was erected on the site.
Okay, question number 3. And what is this prize, Elena?
An overnight stay at the Hilton Garden Inn downtown Rochester. Speaking of hotels.
This month. Excellent prizes. Okay, so question number 3, put number 3, get ready to go. Go ahead, Jess.
These next two are easier, I promise. Rochester is a pretty popular place. Approximately how many visitors travel to Rochester each year? I thought it was easy.
Oh, there, wait, hold up, Kelly.
Kelly, 2 million. Known for a vast selection of family-oriented activities and attractions, Rochester is definitely a great city to visit.
Awesome, and I agree.
Yes, me too.
And our final question is now going to be in my head the rest of the night because I'm singing the song in my head already. What is the 4th prize?
It is a surprise from Black Button Distilling.
Okay. Ooh. All right, number 4 in the chat. Get ready to go.
All right. So the Erie Canal has always been an integral part of our history for both leisure and business. How many miles is the Erie Canal from start to finish? Tammy.
Yeah, Tammy.
If you didn't get that, Tammy, there's problems.
362.9 miles. And then, of course, from Albany to Buffalo. So now that song is going to be in all of our heads.
Yep.
I have a mule and his name is Sam. So.
And the fun fact is it took approximately 8 years for workers to complete it, and it was primarily built by hand.
Thanks, Jess. Great prizes, and congratulations to all our winners. And now we're moving on to our happy hour time. I'm pleased to introduce Kevin Dugan, the Director of Government Affairs for the New York State Restaurant Association. Kevin, what does your title mean?
Hello, everybody. I hope everybody can hear me all right. What does my title mean? Well, depending on who you ask, my title can mean a lot of different things, I suppose. Primarily, my job is to be the sort of chief lobbyist for the Restaurant Association and thus the restaurant industry here in Albany, but also work with the state legislature on interpreting rules and interpreting guidelines and then disseminating that information back to the restaurant industry writ large here in New York.
And you had a little bit of presentation, is that correct?
Yeah, it's not so much a presentation. I sort of just wanted to run through a couple of quick things here that have changed in the last 24 hours that the restaurant industry should know, and some of the folks on the call might be interested in knowing. And then happy to take any questions. With the caveat being that some of the information I'm going to provide you have sort of natural follow-up questions that we just don't know the answer to yet. The state hasn't come out with the written rules and guidelines for what I'm about to tell you. So we're still awaiting on some of the particulars. So they may change here in the interim, but we anticipate those rules to come out later, either tonight or tomorrow morning. If you're super interested in this, reach out to me, Kevin at nysra.org. Again, that's Kevin at nysra.org, and I'll throw it in the chat here. And I can add you to the email list that we will send out when we get the rest of this information. So, look, I'm sure everybody sort of knows that the governor made a big announcement yesterday, following up on what the CDC came out with towards the end of last week, about mask wearing and what that means for the general public, and especially what, in my area of expertise, what that means for the restaurant. So that beginning May 19th, tomorrow, we believe that this takes effect during any operations tomorrow. So about probably 6 a.m. when folks open for breakfast, or even earlier. Whenever folks open up their restaurant tomorrow, these new rules will take effect. And that New York State will adopt the CDC's interim public health recommendations for fully vaccinated people, which more or less means that vaccinated people can go into private businesses without masks. That's obviously a huge change. In the past, since more or less in the past 14 months, New York State has had a mask mandate that is being lifted as of tomorrow, and that vaccinated people can go into private businesses without masks. Unvaccinated people are recommended to continue to wear masks when out in public. but those who are vaccinated can forego masks when going about their business. Businesses will be allowed to forego social distancing measures within the establishment if everyone who comes into the restaurant is vaccinated or everybody in a particular section is vaccinated. You can have vaccinated and unvaccinated sections. If you wanted to go to a vaccinated section, or if you wanted to move to a vaccinated restaurant, so you could forego all the social distancing measures, which means you wouldn't have to have, 6 feet of separation between parties. You'd be able to allow people to stand at the bar. People would be able to move about the restaurant without wearing masks. But you would need, if you wanted to do that, you would need proof of vaccination, and proof of vaccination status can be provided by patrons either through paper form, digital application, or the state's Excelsior Pass. There's a number of different apps out there that will allow you to sort of act as a passport, so to speak, that will display your information that you have been vaccinated, and that you have met the state's requirement for that. There's a state Excelsior Pass, which is a state-run app that's available on all app stores. And also, if you have a paper copy of your vaccination card, that would also suffice. If individuals are unvaccinated or their vaccine status is unknown, the guidance mandating 6 feet of social distancing will still need to be followed, and masks must be worn when moving about the facility. So nothing has changed. If you're going to keep things the status quo, if you're not going to check for vaccinations when folks come in, nothing has changed. You're going to keep doing the social distancing, and you're going to keep having folks wear the masks. Although the masks a little bit tougher to enforce, as those who are vaccinated can walk in without masks, and it's not on the restaurants. It's not the restaurant's responsibility to police masks. It's restaurants' responsibility to police vaccinated sections or unvaccinated sections. But if it's just masks, it's not the restaurant's responsibility to do that, or event space, or what have you, to enforce the mask rule. Moving on briefly to events and what this means for events, as I know a lot of folks on here have host weddings and the like. For events under the 250 person social gathering limit. Again, New York State recently went to 250 people for the social gathering limit. So for events under this threshold, all rules remain in place unless all attendees have shown proof of vaccination. If all event attendees are vaccinated, then social distancing rules do not need to be followed. So again, if everybody attending this particular event in a private room or event space or what have you is vaccinated, no social distancing rules need to be followed. You could party like it's 2019. And you can have people standing at the bar, people can move around freely. They're more or less goes back to the way things were pre-pandemic. For events over the 250 person social gathering limit, unvaccinated attendees and attendees who have an unknown vaccination status must be spaced 6 feet apart in assigned sections. Masks will be required in indoor event settings except while seated and eating or drinking. Fully vaccinated attendees may be spaced directly next to one another at 100% capacity instead of 6 feet apart in assigned sections that are designated solely for fully vaccinated individuals. Masks are optional. Venues must verify vaccination status to take advantage of reduced social distancing requirements. Children under the age of 12 who are not yet vaccine eligible and under the age of 16 who have not yet been able to be fully vaccinated may accompany and be seated with a vaccinated adult in a fully vaccinated section. And just a reminder, the businesses, will be able to put their own rules in place if they so choose, as long as they follow the state guidelines. If you want to continue to have the mask mandate, you certainly can. You're able to operate your business as sort of you see fit. I want to reiterate that the governor's office has indicated that updates to the guidelines will be forthcoming. We expect, again, to see them either later tonight or early tomorrow morning. And that just a reminder that OSHA has come out with a statement that says that they were reviewing the recent CDC guidance and going to update their materials accordingly. We expect them to follow what the CDC guidance says and allow for fully vaccinated employees to be unmasked as well. So that is the latest update when it comes to the food service industry and the event side of things when it comes to capacity. I understand that I sort of threw a lot of information at you folks in a short period of time. Happy to take any questions if folks have any, and hopefully provide some clarity if any is needed.
Okay, so I think there are some questions coming in. So you did clarify that forthcoming from OSHA as to whether employees who are vaccinated can get masks. So stay tuned for that, correct?
Yep, correct.
I guess the next question is, do restaurants or facility or organizations have to keep a record of those vaccinated coming in? Is there a requirement that they're going to have to send any of that to the state or anything like that? Are they going to get?
Nope. The only, again, this is all sort of subject to be changed, but from what we understand in our conversations with the governor's office about this briefly yesterday afternoon was that the restaurant just needs to solely check and if somebody is vaccinated or not, and they can do that through those means I mentioned before, as long as they, that information is displayed to them. That's it. They don't need to keep any other record of an individual being vaccinated or unvaccinated.
Okay, and then just a clarification, does this mean that people don't have to remain seated while drinking, or that they have, or while drinking, or if they're not vaccinated? Okay. Does this mean that people don't have to remain seated while drinking, or has that not been updated yet if they're vaccinated? If I'm vaccinated and have a drink and I go to the bathroom without my mask.
Yes, if you're vaccinated, well, if you're vaccinated and everybody else in the establishment is vaccinated, you can drink with your mask off, and drink at the bar while standing, I should say. If the restaurant is still, if everybody in there is not vaccinated, then no, unfortunately, you would still have to be seated to have food or drink. That rule is only lifted when the social distancing rules are lifted, and that only happens in this situation if you're in a completely vaccinated section, or if the restaurant or event space has gone to completely vaccinated individuals.
Okay, and so a written kind of what's current can be seen at governor.ny.gov. Is that correct?
Yeah. So that's yeah, Kelly. Thanks for putting that in there. That could be found there, and that will provide you with the latest information. Also, if you go to our website, www.nysra.org, there's like a COVID resources tab. All this information can be found there in sort of a more distilled format.
Perfect. And food required with alcohol sales, that went away last week. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. No longer do you have to buy food with your alcohol.
Okay. That is a lot. And I know that it's changing. So thank you for trying to distill that down.
Yeah.
And then there's just warring factions too. Like this one says this and that one says that. So, but we want to keep everyone safe and in business and whatnot. So I guess the next question that came privately is for the Kellys. How is business?
Business is good. It's definitely picking up. Lots of people have lots of questions, so it's interesting new challenge we've had the last couple of days. But we keep getting these challenges, so I think we're doing okay.
Good. What about you, Kelly Metris? Are you on the line still? Maybe not. Okay. Next question. Kevin, do you think these might possibly get rolled back should numbers pick up? Which I would probably say yes, but do you want to answer to that?
Yeah, I would think so. I think as we start to move here in the next couple of weeks, we'll see these kind of continue to roll back, especially as the sort of surrounding states are moving to like sort of full rollback. Massachusetts announced at the end of the month they're moving to more or less no guidelines, and the Connecticut, I believe, is tomorrow. They're moving to sort of no guidelines. So I do imagine New York State will follow suit here in the next couple of weeks.
So thanks for answering those questions. But I think we talked earlier in the meeting too, that there are just other challenges facing restaurants and facilities that do events and stuff like that. And one of that is labor, rising food costs, and anything else that is getting thrown at them. And how is the industry doing?
Well, the industry is slowly recovering. I mean, Kelly, you mentioned it there that business is picking up. There are these other challenges that are sort of really preventing a full-scale, quick recovery is what I'll say. Labor being the first and foremost. I'm sure I know the restaurant industry is not alone in that. I know lots of businesses in all sorts of walks of life, so to speak, are having trouble finding help. There's a lot of reasons for that. And the restaurant industry is not immune to it. The one thing that affects our industry, maybe somewhat differently than everybody else's, is that, we just went through a period where we had to lay off the vast majority of staff. And now almost all restaurants across the state are trying to bring everybody back at the same time. So competition is certainly fierce for employees, and there's going to be a lag effect to that as well. So labor is certainly an issue. Rising food costs sort of ties into some of the labor issues, although not be it directly to the restaurant industry. That sort of has to do with workers on farms and things of that nature, and some of the federal guidelines. So things there are not quite as cut and dry. But that certainly is an issue. Rising costs as a whole present this sort of problem, especially as folks look to recover. And the Restaurant Revitalization Fund is out there from the federal government. We got word from the SBA that money is going awfully quick. And that it's probably going to need to be refunded as well. So we're working with Senator Schumer on making sure that happens. But that's just another sort of challenge where this fund was created to help restaurants recover, and it's there's not enough money in it. So hopefully that gets refunded, and that will allow folks to manage to keep their doors open and get to a point where they can get to that full recovery. So lots and lots of issues. Facing the industry, not a whole lot of issues with simple answers, unfortunately. But we're working at the state level to ensure some of the policies remain in place. Primarily at this point, looking to adopt sort of a permanent alcohol to go policy. Working with the restaurants in the surrounding areas in different parts of the state. I know Kelly Bush is a big proponent of it, and she's been a big advocate for us on that end of things. So looking to ensure that remains in place as an additional revenue stream for restaurants, as well as working to get some additional tax breaks and things like that for business owners, and especially those who have brought some employees back already, some tax credits as well. So lots of challenges, not too many solutions, but we're hopeful that we'll soon see a full statewide recovery for the industry.
Kelly, can you answer to that? Has the to-go alcohol been popular?
It has, definitely last year when we couldn't be open, it was very helpful. I think what you're seeing is people are looking for creative and unique experiences, and it's one thing that a lot of us have been able to adapt and come up with things. So being able to do to go mimosa kit for you and your girlfriends, and you're having a party or something, or everybody gets their own stuff and they're having a Zoom party at home, those things aren't really going to go away. So being able to do things like that has been really unique for us. People aren't coming to us to buy, a bottle of liquor or beer that they can get at the store, because probably could get it a lot less expensive. Right. But some of those unique things margaritas from Selena's, or, our Manhattans, those things aren't things you're necessarily going to have the stuff for at home and you want with a specific meal. So it has been really helpful, and it builds up that ticket price, because we don't really make a whole lot of money off of food. You make money off of the liquor. And when you're not having people in your business and they're not staying for long periods of time, they're not just sitting around drinking, it definitely hurts our sales. So this is something that's been really helpful for us.
Oh, good. Okay. So I think this is a joke because there's an LOL after it, but the question is, why are chicken wing prices so darn high? But the fact is, there is a chicken wing shortage. Is there not, Kevin?
There is. There is in fact a chicken wing shortage in the country, and I feel Western New York feels that more than anywhere else in the country. I think that's fair to say.
We just stopped selling them. It's just it's frustrating to keep getting different prices and different types of wing, and the quality has changed too. So we just scrapped it all together. We'll bring it back at a football time.
Yeah, I know people are want their 25-cent wing back. I'm I don't think that's ever reasonable, but I'm going to open this up for anybody else. If anyone else has questions or comments, thank you both for being on the call. Kevin, that was very helpful. And I know that you guys are working really hard to try and interpret everything every day and every hour, every new thing that's going on.
Right.
No, and I appreciate you having me here. And I did throw my email in the chat. If folks, if a question comes to you later, or as your operations start to resume, or somebody asks you a question and you wanted to double back with the Restaurant Association about it, feel free to reach out. Kevin again at nysra.org, and happy to answer anything that folks may have.
It's I'm looking at who's on the call, even Laura Pennington from the zoo. We're all, everyone serves some sort of food or beverage, and everyone's having to keep an eye on those costs, because they can suddenly go up and you forgot to change your food costs and suddenly you lost money that day instead of made money.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Anybody else?
I did see Kelly just commented that she had to run, but it is important to know that if you are getting alcohol to go, you do need to still purchase food with that. So you don't have to, when you're at a bar or a restaurant, you can have a drink without getting food, but if it's to go, then you still need to be ordering food.
Perfect. All right, guys. Well, if nothing else, thanks everybody for staying on the call for so long. I know we went just a little bit long, but it was a jam-packed meeting full of information and important information for all of us. And it's a beautiful day, and I wish you all a very happy spring and beautiful weather. Get out there, go to your local restaurant, go to a restaurant you wouldn't normally go to, and continue to support them. Because if we don't, they won't be here, and then you'll be sad, and you'll be like having to cook at home, and nobody wants to do that.
That's right.
Nobody wants to cook, so. All right, thanks everyone. Good to see you.
Thanks everyone. Good to see you.
Thank you.